We can talk about what we're playing.
Well, we just started streaming without you knowing.
Yeah.
They are listening in right now, and
Well, talk
because
about what
it's
we're playing.
because it's been a time since we started streaming, and I'm talking while the stream is on, and I have too much things in my thing, and I'm looking for the video that I'm supposed to do, and it's so much scrolling, and there we go. Welcome to another stream here at Lightingbot. Apologies. I'm still deleting stuff that is in this stream because they are annoying me. So today we're going to be talking about state of the industry, state of the game industry, to be more specific. So what does that mean? Well, it means, it could mean anything, couldn't it? But our main focus, just to get started, is about layoffs, right? A lot of people are going through layoffs. So if you're watching this stream, please share your stories. Did you lose your job? Are you looking for work? What happened? Give us some insight. Give us that juicy information that could help us with our conversation, because we want to make sure we have some accuracy in our opinions, more or less. So before we get started, I thought it would be a good idea just to briefly mention some of the studios that we know have had layoff this year. Some have had multiple layouts, some have had multiple layoffs from 2022, and so on and so forth. So that means there's been quite a few layoffs, and we're talking about thousands. So if you didn't know, there's been quite a few. So Microsoft, Halo Infinite, 343 Industries, Bethesda, Relic Entertainment, Sega, Deck 9, The Molasses Flood, Deviation Game, Sony shut down Pixel Opus, which was another company, Vanpool shut down, so they didn't just lay off, they shut down, Firaxis, CD Projekt Red, Kabam, Unity several times, EA several times, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Phoenix Lab, Riot Games, Brace Yourself, InnoGames, Playable Worlds, Meta, including Dawn at Downpour, Interactive, FaZe Clan, Beyond the Summit, and other esports company, GameSpot, Giant Bar, Gamma Group. So I'm even covering game magazines at this point. Lonsor, Waypoint, Scavenger Studios, Striking Distance Studios, BioWare. Side note, Google also laid off 12,000 people, which is quite a bit. Tilting Point, I think it was 14% out of 440 people. Team 17, InnoGames, Forge of Empire, 10 Square Games. They canceled 2 projects, but I couldn't find out specific numbers. EA's Fire Monkeys shut down or closed, or they fired a bit. Hi-Res, Ludia, Imaginary Studios, Eastside Games with 20%. Roblox, Epic with 16%. And Creative Assembly, and also recently I found out my old studio that I worked at, Interior Nights, also have had a couple of people laid off. I think about 12, 14 maybe, give or take. So why is this? We're going to try and discuss this. We're going to try and figure out what could it possibly be. Could it be shareholder relationship? Are they scared? Could it be delays from pandemic? Could it be the interest rate from the Federal Reserve? Could it be a fail of sales expectation? What we do know is games are selling. It's not losing profit. We know we are buying. I mean, the recent purchases such as Activision, lots of money was spent. We have had purchases from other studios, Epic Games, who had 60%. They have bought quite a few, invested quite a few, they own quite a bit as well. So what is going on? So Jeremy, Chris, give me some insight. What are your thoughts?
I have no idea.
Dude, right off the bat.
Thank you for watching.
I'm not a
See you guys.
professional in this at all. Holy cow. I didn't realize the list you were gonna like go through a list that hardcore.
Well, you know, we want to show that we've done some research, but we also want to make sure that people realize how big of a deal it actually is. Because we're not talking about just major companies. We're talking about smaller studios, medium studios, big companies. We're talking about hundreds of people, up to thousands of people, especially if you ignore Google's layoff, which could be related to something experimental project or not. But we're talking about quite a few people. And I think I posted on LinkedIn trying to do a project of my own, recruiting people. I got 350 lighting artists sending me emails on my Gmail. I had to spend hours just going through them and organizing. So there is definitely a need for work for a lot of people. So what could be the reason though? Could it be that because we are earning money, so what does it really mean? If we are, as an industry, we're not losing profit. Maybe it was down 5% this year, but then again, it's because of, you know, your company shutting down. It could be delays, could be many things, right?
I mean, my initial thought on it when you start to see the pattern, it reminded me a lot of when I got into games, which was in 2008 or 2007, late 2007, and the housing market exploded in the States. And I mean, I think it exploded elsewhere. But yeah, I think our publisher filed bankruptcy the next day, and the paychecks quit coming. And then our CEO was paying us out of his savings for like 3 months while he flew all over the place. And then when I think he was about to get a publisher deal set up, he couldn't pay us anymore. So I think it was 70% layoff, 70 something percent layoff. And then I don't know, 2 months later, he was able to rehire everyone back that wanted to come back. That was the scenario that I think a lot of the industry was experiencing around that time, and it was much smaller then than it is now. So what we're seeing is a huge shockwave, is what it looks like. And my initial feeling on it is that it likely has to do, or one of the main components is the high investment that happened right around the time of COVID. So when people started staying at home, you started getting people playing games that never played games before. And then they got really into it and they invested into it. And a lot of markets went freaking crazy into investments or like into expanding, because all of a sudden the user base exploded. Like coffee, for example. People couldn't go to Starbucks anymore. They couldn't go to their local baristas. So they started ordering stuff home. And that whole industry exploded in sales because of that. And I think it was the same in games. I noticed it on Twitch as well with viewership. I think viewership doubled for me. And I think statistically speaking, it doubled and tripled for others.
I mean, the industry definitely had a big boom around COVID, right? Like there were a bunch of acquisitions, like let's see, what was it? Like EA buying Codemasters, Embracer, Gearbox, right? Xbox got Bethesda. And then you had like huge stuff like Sony getting Bungie, you know, and like Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, right? And that was a huge deal. That was like, what, 70 billion or something? I can't remember. Like some huge deals. And I guess just when you invest that much, like during that time, everything just seemed like it was going up. Everything's going up. Just invest, you know, make money, make everybody happy. And at some point, right, the world changed for the worse.
Okay.
Like war and other things, like world events potentially causing issues, right, or ripples. And then you have the talent pool, like you also had like AAA developers leaving in droves as well to other companies, to smaller companies, working, renegotiating contracts, you know, like their salaries and like working from home and all of that, right, during that time as well. I mean, at some point it just feels like could potentially be like you know, like the power kind of got into the, you know, the workers had the power, you know, to some extent, you know, like you could, like all of us who were talking about it at one point, right? We could, you know, you can work from Sweden, get a, you know, an American job or something, right? And then at some point the companies might want to take that power back, you know?
Yeah, like remote work. That opened the doors for a lot of people that didn't have that opportunity at the time.
I mean, so you think it's a combination of things. Some people I've heard they say it's a opportunity to clean out the more senior people as well, like get some younger talent, save some money in costs, because if you've been around for quite a while, some people get a bit more expensive, but you might find someone with equal talent or skills that is maybe reaching mid or senior, and they might be taking less money, right? Any thoughts that it might be a way for companies to kind of increase shareholder profit by cutting down on cost, as well as renewing the team? Do you think that's a possibility?
I mean, yes, I would say,
Yeah,
for
if
sure.
it's a
Right,
business, right?
like you kind of starve the industry to some, or like the people, like you lay off a bunch of people, right, and then renegotiate the contracts to hire them for less, or take in new people that are willing to work for less. So yeah, for sure. I don't want to say that all companies are evil, but they are companies. They want to pay people, less money and get the most out of it that they can, right? So it's for sure, I can believe that is definitely something that is happening.
This could also be why it's really good, or it's a good opportunity to highlight what a person's value is as well, because it allows companies to not get away with that type of process if they are doing it like that. There's less people to hire that are underpaid in that sense.
So based on what you two kind of are saying, is that we had a boom of profit during COVID pandemic. People started, okay, we have more money now to invest. Let's try and push some more projects. Let's try and expand. And then there's remote work. Then there was some of the war, I suppose, which then affects oil, which then affects other industry, which then affects the economic on a larger scale, inflation. Do you think, and then obviously the price of the Federal Reserve and the US actually printing, I think they were printing too much or something last year or the year before as well. So there's quite a few financial things happening that obviously impacts just average people, normal people that not even in the game industry. Do you think that's the main reason that it's like it actually technically happened 3 years ago or 2 years ago, but then now people are kind of catching up to the damage, so to speak, that's been happening, and they're just trying to survive at the moment? Or is it really just about money?
I mean, it is about money, but yeah, I think it's definitely a survival mode for the publishers and stuff right now, like in the companies in general. Like it's expanding, like being greedy, just buying stuff, hiring people, opening new studios, you're doing a bunch of stuff, right? And then things start to go badly, right? And then you still have to pay everybody salaries, even like if you have severance packages, like there's a lot of just recovery now, right? To just stabilize. I'm guessing that is what's happening, and it's just the state of what things are. I don't think there's really anything we can do about it, like in that sense.
Well, let's read up the note I sent out. It's earlier this month when I was writing about Epic. So in Epic's case, first of all, the game industry is estimated between 365 billion to 490 billion by the end of this year. So we're not losing money, right? So Epic is a powerhouse, right? They have a cash creating machine called Fortnite, and Fortnite alone makes 9 billion alone in the first 2 years, and up to date, its revenue is 26 billion. Epic has an estimate of 4.4 billion revenue. So the question then is, where did the money go? We know Tim Sweeney, according to actual formal financial things that I've been reading for Tim Sweeney, his net worth is around 8 billion. So he's a big fish. He has a lot of money. Is some of the money going into his pocket instead of other people? Then I started digging a bit more, right? And I saw Epic Games had over 30 investors, 36 investments, 6 deal terms, 4 portfolio exits, and they have raised over 6 billion in funding alone. So the recent investment before some of the layoffs was reported was something called Corporate Minority 5 round. They were bought actually Virtual Fashion, which was like May 11th. So basically they are doubling in a virtual fashion and virtual stuff. Last year they had Kirk by Sony and Double Down Interactive apparently as well, helping out. Epic also spends a lot in acquiring companies, but they're not in any large amount in comparison to the profit. So companies like Aquarius Game Studio, Bandcamp, and Plastic are part of 26 acquisition. Hanakuma, Zebra, AI, and Architrus, to name a few, are just some of over 36 investments they've made. So they also exit investments. So Bandcamp, they exited in September 28th of this year. I'm going to assume in profit because Bandcamp doesn't necessarily do very badly. So taking all into this account, if we were to simplify this, each employee revenue ratio is about $500,000, which means the average pay is about $94,000. I checked with a couple of my Epic friends, so they said that is the correct estimation. So let us pretend they have 10,000 employees. I think they have around thousands now. At an average of $100,000, which is $1 billion in cost, it still leaves 3-4 billion to spend based on their actual public records, right? So let's say I spend $1 billion in investment and another billion on other costs, and I'm overestimating what they're spending. That still leaves a yearly 2.4 billion a year. So to make things fair, let's just assume they have other costs, research, other things. So they spend another billion, okay? So they paid all the salaries, they paid all the operation costs, they paid investment, they paid acquisition, and so on. But they still have $1 billion left, right? So, and I'm overestimating that they pay every employee around 94,000, which they don't. Except I've heard if it's Fortnite, which can be a bit boring for some people, they might pay a bit more apparently. So, but what about Microsoft, Take-Two, Riot Games, EA, Twitch, Meta, Unity, Ubisoft, all of these other companies? There is obviously something going on because they have the money to invest and spend on big companies, which has a direct benefit to them as a company and shareholders, not necessarily us as employee. So I don't think it's that they don't have the money, even though they publicly state we are spending too much money, which might be true because they do give a lot of free stuff, right? They have our station and a couple of other enterprises as well that I didn't mention. So with that math, they shouldn't be struggling because they have enough stable profit. It's one of the most stable companies that we know of when it comes to, and I didn't calculate their Epic engine profit, which isn't that much in comparison to Fortnite, and they probably have other things. Unity is a different topic as well, but they also make considerable income as well. So with that information, do you really think it's as simple as they don't have the money, or do you think they're just prioritizing a year or 2 year ahead of time to have shareholder profit? Think about it. I'm not condoning anything, by the way. I'm not condoning layoffs. I'm not condoning anything. But it is interesting when you look at the numbers. It doesn't necessarily make sense when they make the public messages, because the public message is very diplomatic. But when you look at the numbers, it says something else.
We have our one of our buddies, Noel. He's in chat. He's very knowledgeable. He's been saying some things. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. US costs another 20% for payroll tax another time. Yeah, that's why I threw in another 1 billion, right? Just with the assumption that there is other things to do. But that doesn't explain why people are, and these are big successful companies. I mean, I can understand smaller startup companies that we don't necessarily have heard about. I can understand unreleased games, to name a few. But big companies like Unity, Epic, Google for that matter, you would have thought that they had enough experience after so many years that they would not be in this situation, right?
I mean, isn't it part of like the? I mean, I don't really know anything about like in detail about this, but like the stock prices from a lot of these, right, has been going down generally, right? The value of the company has just gone down. So I'm guessing like investor wise across, like, because there's investment probably coming in from all sorts, right? From all kinds of industries. And maybe it's just part of it. Like maybe they just want to be well above safe, you know? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, what was it? There was some article mentioning, like, what was it? Like Team 17 being down 41%, Frontier 74%, Devolver 59. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Unity is
Like,
down, what, 13% since last year?
I mean, Unity has been doing like blunders for like years now, it feels. But I can get why they would have issues, you know. Like Epic, I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest.
Epic stock value. Let's have a look. Epic is up.
What? Yeah, interesting.
Epic has never been down. They have a green curve that just goes up.
I don't know. If you look at our like a 5-year period, I mean, Epic is owned by Tencent as well, right?
Partially.
How's Tencent doing?
But even Epic,
I have no.
Even Epic.
This is how we dig, though, right? Because like we have no, like, I think you have more education in this topic than Chris and I do. And Chris, I mean, you probably have more than me because of what you're up to these days. But
I just know, like, investors in general, like publishers, investors, it just seems like, from what I hear and, you know, talking to people and stuff, like it's just they're very careful, right? Like on Twitter, X, whatever, they're like talking about like, hey, you got to hold on till like 2025 or something like that, right? Everybody's just trying to hold on. Like people are being very careful about you know, investment in general. And like since the Embracer thing happened as well, like there was a lot of money in industry and investors in general just wrapped up in whatever Embracer was doing at some point, right? Because it was just growing and growing and growing, right? So it just seems like it's a bad time for everybody. But yeah, like I think it's like I can't really analyze any of this because I don't really understand the data, right? Like I don't really understand what kind of impact. I do see the only impact that I can only really understand is like the impact on the devs, you know, the people, and like the mental health. It's been interesting to see, like, I'm not even sure if that's the right way to say it, but like you see like grad students and juniors being very jaded already over like 2022 and 2023 has been like pretty bad in general, for like, because the only news they're seeing is just layoffs and big companies doing, you know, a bunch of layoffs.
This is one of the main reasons I wanted to talk about this topic, is it's highlighting the lack of stability in our industry.
Yeah, it's a problem for sure.
So there's that, and then there's also like the facing image for people wanting to get into games, like you were just saying as well. It's like people are graduating now, and it either looks bleak for them, they feel like it's pointless, or they've lost interest in the industry. And yeah, it's that aspect of it that made me go, oh man, we should talk about this. Because I mean, when it comes to like, maybe we can talk about how we feel like you could stabilize the industry. Is there anything that you could think of that would help stabilize an industry like ours? Or how do you show that it's not as bleak as it looks for someone who's fresh to it, right?
I think it's
kind of difficult to tell or explain.
It really depends on like where you are, right? Like we're kind of blessed in Sweden, right? Like there are a lot of worker laws that protects us. It seems kind of somewhat stable around here, right? But like in
Mm.
other places in Europe or in the States, it seems just very rocky right now. Like there was some, can't remember, but there was someone telling me about someone uprooting their whole life, selling their house, apartment, whatever, moving to the States, right? And even before they were hired, they were like, yeah, we don't have a job for you, you know, and they just uprooted their whole life and moved across the world, right? And yeah, it's definitely like it's a very, very bad state of things.
So a quick question for the viewers, because we have quite a few, and some of you informed us that you recently lost your work from Meta and a couple of other companies I've never heard of before. How are you experiencing your layoff? Is it emotionally stressful? Are you able to deal with it? Are you considering going freelancing? What's your emotional, psychological journey about this situation, right? Because some people recover quickly, some people they figure out something else. I have one friend who hasn't been laid off necessarily, but is watching everyone else getting laid off, and they are looking to leave the game industry.
I've been part of that. I've experienced that. Dude, I remember being moved, and then it's like, oh, you're gonna go over here, and then poof, gone. Everything behind me gone. And where I moved to, there was a few people, you know, and then like 8 months later, moved again. Oof. That happened twice, 2 times to me at one company.
I mean, it is definitely interesting, and it's also interesting some of the chat going on about payment versus US, Spain. I can briefly mention that some of the, because I'm doing job search as well, because I obviously don't have a full-time job at the moment either, and most of the work that I get turned down for is basically because my pay is too high for the company or sometimes for the country, which is fine. You know, I'm a person who wouldn't go down on my pay too much just to get work. So therefore, I am freelancing at the moment to make do until I find someone who's willing to pay for what I think I'm worth. But then again, I had an interview just a couple of days ago. They were offering one pay for the UK, another pay for the country they're located in. But they were like, the first thing they were worried about, like, we want to pay according to the country, and I was very clear in saying that I generally don't accept offers if you're adjusting my pay based on where I choose to live, because my skill remains the same, my time is the same, the effort I put into is the same. I get equally tired the same, so I don't want you to adjust your pay.
You don't get less tired in a different country?
No, I don't get like, oh, this is I'll take less money because I'm more relaxed. No, man, it's the same amount of work I have to go through. So yeah, I mean, you both have the chat open as well, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just quickly read into it.
Yeah, some interesting discussions on unions.
Because we have people watching from multiple platforms, I'll put up some of the chat so you guys who are in other platforms can read some of the discussions. We'll take the recent ones that we just talked about. So, like, for example, Squeaks is saying, as a business, if I need to choose between the lead environment artist with the same skill and the USA one gets 12,000 salary versus one guy in Spain gets 4,000 euros. The argument there for businesses is the living cost is more cheaper in Spain, and in the US it is quite more expensive. You also have to consider healthcare and other things that is included or excluded as part of the equation. That doesn't mean it's right. I don't necessarily think your pay should be adjusted based on what the government provides. For example, I rather have higher pay when I'm looking for work during this time than bonuses, because I have no control over bonuses. It's not guaranteed, right?
So you're talking about stability padding in a sense, just in case like stuff goes south, you've got a little extra.
Exactly. But then you have someone in Latin America. We have very small salaries and just a few companies offering AAA or AA positions, for example. Now, let's talk a little bit about this, because even though we're talking about layoff, profit, shutdown, remote work, it entails a lot of discussion here, such as if you want work, don't hang on the AAA brand or the AA brand. You guys need to stop doing that. There's so many great companies that might not even be any brand, but like I did in Tier Nice, it was an unknown company. They paid me very well. They treated me very well. They are award-winning company after the first game already, right? So there's nothing that stops you from joining a good company. I understand it. I had a colleague today I was talking to, and they were like talking about, I can't leave the company even though it's a terrible company, because I want the credit, I want the brand, and then I can leave because people will take me more seriously. That is this mindset. This is the mindset that forces people to join companies that will pay you less, they will treat you differently, and there are companies who are small who will treat you better and sometimes even pay you better because they are struggling finding talent, because everyone is so fixed about these branded big companies such as I don't know, Rockstar, Ubisoft,
Dude, I've been in
Dream.
AAA so long that indie scares me. AA scares me.
No, you shouldn't be scared of that. If anything, right, there's like there are pros and cons, right? Like you join an indie company, let's say there are 30 people, right? Maybe they grew to 30 people over the span of like a year and a half, right? So they don't have any HR processes set up, right? And then you're going to have a bad time because there's no structure, right? But in general, you will be treated because you're valuable, right? You're working for a small company, your skills will be valuable. If you're working for a huge company, AAA company, then you sometimes can really feel like you're a cog in the machine, right? To some extent. And especially when it's the guy making the decisions higher up about, like cold calculation, you're just gonna fire a bunch of people, then it can really, be hurtful. Like you can really feel that sometimes. But I wouldn't be scared. I think there's a lot of opportunity in indie and AA for sure.
No.
Or even new companies, right? Like even like new people, new ideas, new innovation. A job is a job. I would go for it if you have a chance.
Yeah.
Not you. I mean, just everybody. No, you generally you should go.
Yeah. No, I really like the message about not thinking about it as categories, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you want to make interactive experiences. Dude, I'm like gonna sneeze. I can feel it. You want to make interactive experiences. Or at least that's what I'm interested in. And it doesn't matter if it's AA or AAA, or it's something that at the end of the day it ships, and then people play it, and you get to see people enjoying the content, or it gives them an outlet or something to do, or I don't know, man. Making games I enjoy it so much. But what was I gonna say on the topic of? I lost it. I need to write this down.
I mean, you can, because I was seeing here in the comments, right? Like about the salaries in AA and indie, right? They are not necessarily less than you would find in AAA. Like it's somewhat of a lie that you would be paid more in AAA, because the reason is like there's a lot of money in indie and AA as well. Like there's a lot of value there. Like there's a lot of, like, you wouldn't, like, if you look at, like, I don't know, Satisfactory, or a game like that, right? Or Valheim or something, right? They can totally afford paying people a lot of money because there's a lot of money in it, right? So yeah, for sure. Like I went from AAA down to AA, right? And I got paid more. So there's definitely opportunity. But this was during COVID as well. So it's a bit tricky. During that time, there was actually like all the companies, publishers, whatever, they were fighting for the talent, so you could so it's probably a bit less of that right now though. But yeah, I would say you would have good money still.
Shots fired.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, I mean, we're kind of also keeping track with the viewers here, because you obviously have a lot of the viewers has different questions and opinions as well. Move to China, get on the Genshin Impact money. They're doing well, I think. I know quite a few friends are spending money on it. I did too. I mean,
you did too, Amit?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I mean, I spent more money yesterday. I think I spent £100 just in an hour on Crossout yesterday. I was like, I'm bored. I need some new cars, and I don't even have work, and I'm still spending money on games, right? I'm broke. I have like a couple of months rent, and then I have to move. So life stuff. But I'm sure my philosophy, if you think you have abundant cash, cash comes your way anyway, because you're thinking, you have that mindset of money. If you live frugal, you become frugal, and then you're just frugal. So I live my life, as if everything is okay, even though it's not. So normally
interesting.
as well. Yeah, I mean, look at crypto. My crypto went back up to at least average now. So technically, I could sell the crypto and cash out because it's up at the moment, right? So it seems to be doing quite well. But I decided to wait for next year before I do it, in case something more shitty happens. Be prepared for the worst case scenario.
I was.
I think.
I remember the topic is like, so when in 2008, when we had this type of a crash in the industry, where it's just like a large number of people being laid off, there was a explosion of startups the following year, right? And things started to, it's kind of like when a forest burns and it nitrates the soil, and then all of a sudden you get this explosion of like diverse fauna. I don't know where that came from. Anyways, yeah.
I'm just multitasking. I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm just.
But,
Firecape is doing shots fired on Genshin. He doesn't like.
Oh man.
Genshin at all.
I mean, you have that happen now as well. Like during COVID, there were a lot of new studios, AAA people leaving the industry to create studios as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's the reason why we've had partly the reason why we have so many good games right now, right, being released.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of like highly.
There are a lot of super promising
crazy
studios, and games coming, right? So with people having new ideas and stuff. So it's just the industry. It's rough getting a job, money. It's hard to come by investment and stuff. But you kind of you have to hold on, and if that means
sorry, keep on going.
No, I was saying you have to hold on. If that means you have to sidestep and work in an industry that's adjacent to games, then do that. There's no shame in there's a lot of good money elsewhere as well.
I think I see a lot of comments and different things and questions, and I want to address the mindset of some of the people, because the mindset of thinking that smaller indie companies aren't worth it, smaller indie companies or some startup companies are risky, or a new company doesn't have the money, isn't necessarily true. There are plenty of new studios that probably have more money because they come from a bigger studio and they get together and they have a good personal brand. So the investors, they spend money, the publishers spend money, and they have more money to spend because it's an opportunity for the investor and publisher to own part of the company that no one has had an opportunity to own yet, right? Versus a company that's established, have too many shareholders, and it gets flushed out basically, right? In this case, I just want to urge people to be more open to considering smaller studios. Like Interior Night, when I joined, it was it was not a known studio when we were doing As Dusk Falls for a few years, and it did pretty well. The studio does I mean, they had a couple of layoffs last week or the week before, but they do still well. It did well enough. They have enough money to do a new project and so on and so forth. The advantage of doing a new studio is you are probably more noticed. You have more opportunity for growth. They'll take you more seriously. They'll invest more in you because you are a key personnel, versus say you join a big studio such as companies that Germany works in. You have 100, 200, 300, in some cases, thousands of people. You're not going to get the same treatment because you are, just one of 10, 20 of the same skill set, right? So take that a grain of salt or pepper if you prefer pepper, or sand if you prefer sand. But there is a lot of opportunities out there. Like my freelance contract that I got a week ago, a week ago. I was unemployed for like a month or something. And then I was like, I'm running out of money. I need something to pay my debt because I have visa debt, and my visa debt is £9,000 left, and I have like a month to pay. So that's quite a bit of money. So I posted just a little bit on Twitter, and I posted just an old project. Someone picks it up, researches me in the same hour, message me 2 hours later, gives me an opportunity to do freelancing from one single tweet that had no intent. There was no reason behind it, except I wanted to think about my past as a bachelor student doing some old terrible stuff, and he liked that Command and Conquer video inspired thing I did as a student, and for that reason alone, it wasn't even lighting related, he hired me, right? So there are many ways of getting work and freelancing. You have to be a bit visible, you have to be yourself, and there are going to be smaller companies. I had another opportunity, someone offered me to do like a couple of levels. I said no because they wouldn't pay me more than $4,000, but $4,000 is a lot for people in Spain, people in India. That's a good money. So I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. So have an abundant mindset, have the mindset that there is opportunity. Don't be too greedy like me. You're definitely going to get turned down quite a bit if you do, which is why I think people in countries like Spain, Eastern countries like Poland, cities like is it Bulgaria or something, Sofia, that's easy money. That's like you can compete with people like me quite easily. So I don't think there is not work out there. I think you just have to be willing to take the work. Someone else mentioned relocation. Yeah, if you're not willing to relocate, that's your choice. There's not like there are jobs. UK is struggling. For those people who want that, UK is struggling. There's an average job in UK. Normally, there's like 264 to 300 jobs a year, always rotating in the UK. At the moment, it's below 40. So it's like really struggling in the UK at the moment. But outside of UK, there is still a lot of work to find, especially if you can speak French. There's quite a few companies that are French owned, wants you to speak French, that are still hiring. Okay, so I just wanted to go on and speak about that a bit as well.
I mean, I can say this as well. Like right now, as it looks from what I can tell, AAA companies seem less excited about remote work, right? While remote work is still very much a thing in indie and AA. Because they are actually trying to find talent, right? So they are expanding their horizons still and want to be like, cool, will you can work for us
actually cheaper
remotely. So, don't skip it because it's AA or whatever. Like I would say you're probably just as likely to get laid off from a AAA thing than that you would be from a AA thing. Like usually you have your deadlines or like your milestones, right? And if you don't meet the milestones, then could like the project could get shut down potentially, and then that happens in indie, that happens in AA, and that happens in AAA, right? So you will still have that same feeling, So yeah, I would say just don't be scared to just like try anything, There's lots to learn in each, essentially. Except like if you're the type of person that like having a lot of impact, and feel like you matter, right? You will have that, that kind of responsibility and feeling easier in indie or AA, right? Where you have smaller teams. You'll feel more useful, essentially.
Guys, we need to pause the stream because Francois needs to take a pee.
All right.
So just kidding.
Just like hold still.
Yeah, let's just stand still a bit. There we go. I think because I only looked at the last name, but I believe it was your brother or something who asked the question earlier in the stream, which I ignored because I only saw the last name. But then I realized it wasn't. It wasn't you.
That was fast, Francis.
No, that's my brother. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that guy.
So he asked, do the game industry overstand hiring as investment rounds increase and then it becomes problematic online, like as with Spotify and similar companies? Spotify laid off 600 employees. That's possible.
I did not know that.
I wouldn't say like they necessarily overextend the hiring. I would say they overextend in terms of they don't know how much it costs to make a game.
Yeah. Listen to
or how to make the game. Yeah, it's usually like feature creep or what you thought would work didn't work out. And you have to like remake a bunch of stuff or hire more people to be able to make like, oh, this game will only be good if we have X, Y, and Z, but we don't have the people to make X, Y, and Z. So we need to hire 10 more people, right? And the game will only be good if we have X, Y, Z. So that it's the problem, right? So yeah. And then it's just like games are usually harder in that sense. You don't know what is fun, what is good. Yeah.
There's a couple of other things in the chat. What was it? Someone the definition. So a lot of people say if you have passion and love for games, do this, do that, it will be fine. That's a fallacy. Passion has nothing to do with anything and opportunity. Love for games has nothing to do with opportunity. Businesses look at your skill, unfortunately, and they look at your ability to fit in culture. Those are the two things a company looks at. Anything else is just, it's a bonus. If you obviously love the type of games they do, it's a bonus. If you can argue why you should work somewhere there, it's nothing to do with whether you have passion and love for games. It's the likelihood of you actually being serious in their company and why you're applying specifically for them. That's why they ask you these questions. Other than that, it's your skills and everything. And I believe someone on Twitter a couple of months ago, who I don't remember who he was talking about, which I don't necessarily agree with, but they were very adamant and firm in saying, if you're a junior or you're looking for work, do not be on social media. Spend your time inside your software, increase your skills, do the things you need to do. Don't waste hours, trying to get random posts or be on a stream like this one. When I'm hosting it, I probably should do the same thing, but hey, I have a commitment, so you got to keep it going. So those are the things that person recommended. I don't personally recommend it, but Jill was kind of saying, trying anything is fine, but posting things and managing Twitter and social accounts is the hard part. I don't know about
you could also just
Chris.
fire it into the void.
You could just fire out in the wall. I don't have a strategy on mine anymore because I do think it's exhausting. It's tiresome.
Just post.
I spend a lot of time on like Twitter and stuff like this. Like there are a lot of people.
I notice. How do you have time for this? You don't have time for us.
It's not to ask the hard questions, you're saying, "Oh, Chris, you're not working hard enough," and that becomes a problem.
Exactly. You're not.
I don't really want to get into that. No, I like from what I've seen on Twitter, right? Like there's a lot of people they're just posting about their situation, right? And the game dev community is kind of they're trying to help each other, right? So there are a lot of reposting, signaling, right? Signal boosting, right? Like where they're like, oh, I know this person. It's a cool person. Do anybody in my network, have a position open? And then, it's that type of networking, right? So I would say networking is pretty important in general, right? But you need the skills, right? Still. But like we can ask, like Jeremy, would you hire someone? Like, would you rate portfolio over chemistry, like personality and stuff like this in the team?
No, I would go with personality first
and reliability, right? Like
reliability, of course, yeah, because you can teach. Like, of course, their portfolio can't be like core problems. Right. But,
if they have attitude problems, is much harder to fix than just teaching them the skills they need to do the job. Right. So
I'd rather be feedbacking with them on their art than like sitting with them in HR trying to sort through stuff.
So Jeremy, are you looking for a junior environment artist by any chance?
No, I am not, sadly.
No.
I'm not hiring anyone.
You should make it happen.
Is Chris?
Am I?
Yeah, you? Have you reached the stage yet?
No, need monies. Yeah.
Oh, Francois is back from PP.
All right. Okay, we can
Stand
unpause.
still. Yeah. Just going through the comments. It's quite a lot of activity.
No,
I
it's
mean,
great.
yeah, there's a lot of opinions and a lot of new people coming in and people going and coming quite a bit. I mean, there are obviously guys who are in the basement and they make games. I know I have some acquaintances, friends, I don't know, from Norway. And they're like 2 people and they made like this pixel game. They spent like 9 years making it and they're making another one. And that's what they do. They just spend years perfecting the game before releasing it. And they seem to be doing well. But again, it depends on your lifestyle. It depends what are you trying to achieve. Like, arguably, and I say arguably, depending on your understanding of money and income and whatnot, but arguably, you're not going to get rich from doing games, right? It's not, people don't get into games because it's, well, they don't get into the games as one of the people who make the stuff because it's a money making machine. But obviously, 50 years from now, it's going to be different because game industry will have matured to the same phase that TV and radio did, right? And it's going to be different. You're going to have companies like EA and big companies just making franchises and owning half of the world and whatnot. So I mean, it depends what you're trying to do as well.
There's people getting hired right now as well, just to make sure that it's clear that there's not this giant door that all of a sudden closed and now they're just throwing people out. There's people that I'm chatting with. Yesterday, someone got a junior position, was offered a junior position, which is pretty crazy because for me, it's been hard to find nice message, Noel. It's been hard to find job openings for juniors in mid-level.
Yeah.
What you were saying, you were saying earlier that you're seeing a lot of junior positions on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I did. I've noticed like a couple of them very specific in mentioning it's a junior. Will train you, just submit your portfolio and things like that.
Yeah, we were talking before, but I've had a little bit of a different experience there. But it's mostly because I've been exposed not to the job postings, but to the juniors themselves, right? So, and they've been not happy about the state of things. But I would just
for you, Chris, and Jeremy as well.
All right, cool. Yeah. What is the question?
You have this couple. He didn't write the big one. He just wrote
the state
part of the question.
Wait, what?
He's basically
getting a job in Scandinavia.
He's looking for work in Scandinavia, and he's looking for advice. That's basically the short end of the question. Do you have any advice living in Sweden and being kind of Swedish?
Kind of Swedish, yeah.
I'm
like the tricky thing about getting a job as a lighting artist in general in games is that you don't need that many lighting artists. Usually, in comparison to the other art departments, you don't really have that many lighting artists, right? So you kind of want to expand into, like, if you're used to cinematography and stuff, then you want to expand into, like, if you're using Unreal, you want to go into be like how to use sequencer efficiently, right? Setting up cutscenes, doing shots and cuts, and like, so you're the guy that can not only light stuff, but you can do trailers. So you can do, like, how do you marry gameplay sequences with like cutscenes? So like you kind of have to get into the whole, everything around it as well. Like be sorry, but be more than a lighting artist.
Don't give me more stuff to do, bro. What the hell?
You're so one-sided.
I mean, Noel's pretty spot on. The Nordics is probably the easiest to get into the industry currently.
Yeah, and it's generally more stable as well, right?
Like, it's actually kind of crazy.
It's because it's freaking cold there, okay? Just remember what you...
I mean,
but you're going to spend time at your desk anyway, so it's... Nice.
Yeah. First of all, you have to more or less move there unless you join Starbreeze. They have they have a financial office in Spain, London, and I think another place. So you can technically work remotely for them apparently, but more than not, you have to move to the countries. And for the record, I'm Norwegian. I am Nordic and Scandinavian as well. More Nordic than these two.
I'm the
What part of Norway are you from, though?
We are from southern part of Norway.
So not that north.
Well, the ship you take to Denmark to buy cheap beer, get drunk on water, then you go back home. It's like 100 krones for like a day trip. You go to Denmark, you drink your alcohol, and then you go back to Norway. It's shit expensive to drink alcohol, and then you spend your money. Then you take your car, you drive into Sweden, and you buy the groceries, and you drive back to Norway because it's just cheaper to buy it in Sweden.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that just means that you're okay. So you're from the southern part of Norway, which means that it puts you in line with Stockholm, Gothenburg, somewhere, like on the line.
That's a good question.
Then you're definitely more Nordic than I am.
I lived in mid part and then lived in Oslo as well, which is even further up. But yeah, are we arguing whether I'm Nordic?
Good. So we're at 55 minutes, and there's a good question, and there's also continuing Noel's thing. So on Noel's side,
so you're deciding if it's a good question or not.
It's fire, man. First Noel, he was saying, so TJ or like any of there's a few art schools in Sweden.
Yeah.
But there's a very high conversion rate. If you go to that school, studios are fighting over you before you even are showing your portfolio on the table to them.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about this because I've been through. I mean, you have as well. Like the TGA has a bunch of students, right? And then they have connections with a lot of studios in Sweden and in Europe, right? And then when people are about to graduate, they are contacting the studios, and you do interviews and stuff. But usually, like, it's a fight for the top students. Generally, right? There are still students that would have trouble finding work still if they're not good enough, But yeah, the conversion rate though, like once you've been picked by a studio, getting hired is very high. Yeah,
nice. Just
getting on team.
Trolling my own stream. Quick reminder for everyone while we have some time. We have some more streams this week and next week. We have a stream with Charlotte about immigration to Canada to become lighting artist for film. We have a talk with Katarina, game dev education and art fundamental for lighting. There's quite a few more women I'm interviewing because there weren't that many 2 years ago when I started the stream. There's quite a few more now, and some of them are comfortable to come on stream. So I'm grabbing them and saying, come on the stream, talk a little bit. And then we also have portfolio review, which I don't know if Mr. Chris is joining or Mr. Jeremy is joining, but I'm having it regardless. So there's 3 other streams as well the week after. I haven't made the banner for it yet. We have quite a few activities going on this end of this year to kind of catch up for the whole year and before we do anything else. Okay. So I just wanted to remind everyone. And again, you're watching, click like, click subscribe, click that reminder bell so you get reminders when we have our streams or shorts or whatever. Don't be a lurker just watching and then not even.
I mean, you can still lurk and do those things. It's nice.
No, I want you to subscribe. I'm unlike Jeremy. I'm strict in my requirements. You have to subscribe.
Well, no, you can still lurk when you subscribe.
Yes, but I have a stats on my window, and it says most of these lurkers are lurkers that haven't clicked.
Yeah, you got to show those bars
Technology.
that show like how many people have not, The question that I was interested in talking about, but I think we actually did an entire cast on this, was dealing with remote work or when COVID was going on. Did we cover that at all?
No, I
What
don't
it
think so. But you can do
what
it
it was
now. Go
like.
Google.
I've been working remotely for 3 years. Um, but like, what kind of challenge are we talking about? You know, like getting a job remotely or just staying sane, because I can't help you there.
Challenges
You
or
know?
successes you face from remote working while in the COVID area. So I guess it's maybe more of a mental or like
Yeah, it's tricky,
a
man,
health
because
state.
I'm kind of like, I'm fine just not having like going outside that
What
much.
do you mean? What is this question? Is it challenges or successes you face from remote working through the COVID era? Like you added COVID era. It's
Dude,
like
it's
it's
an
only
era. It was a
No, like
moment in time.
production
that's
wise, it's
dramatic.
been interesting, right? Like I've been on, like I was, on a AAA team during COVID as well, working remotely, and then I went to AA, right, working remotely. Production wise, it's been a challenge, right? Because not everybody are made for remote work or have the discipline when they're at their home computer to stay working instead of like just social media,
The
or
kitchen's right there, bro.
or like playing video games or whatever instead of working, right? So that has definitely been a challenge, I would say, keeping people in line. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing that's why a lot of companies are like, it would be nice if everybody comes back to the studio, because I think production efficiency is still kind of higher when people are in. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what kind of challenges you're meaning.
I mean, for me, it was like, how do you keep your brain like? I needed to prepare for work and then come out of work and like decompress. So like
Mm,
walking to work was how I did it, or walking home, and that was like 15 minutes. And
yeah.
then when we were stuck at home, well, in Sweden we weren't really stuck at home, were we? COVID only
No, that's
attacked
true.
after 8, so bars stayed open, and it was
Yeah.
weird, man. It was weird. Anyways, so I started walking around the block 15 minutes in the morning,
Right.
and then just go back upstairs, and then work, and then at the end walk again.
Yeah.
I prefer studio normally. Studio
I
work.
do as well, but it's
I do as well, yeah, but I'm fine remote. It's just, yeah, it is harder to get a feeling, because okay, so this isn't, yeah, I mean I've talked about this before, right? Like if you get a job and work for another studio, right, and it's fully remote, it's sometimes hard to feel connected to the studio or to the project that you're working on, like fully bonded with it, in a way. Like you feel
Yeah, it's not like
disconnected to
comfortable
a point where
loyalty
you
in a
can't,
sense.
yeah, like you don't
It's
really
more
feel,
about feeling like you're part of something
yeah.
that
So
you want to
it can be
contribute
tricky.
to, and yeah.
I mean, remote work. I mean, there are multiple conversations. This suddenly talk about portfolio and this. I don't know how
They're
these
liking
people
the
are
energy we have right now, apparently.
switching from multiple topics. But technically, we're over our hour mark, and that's the hour I agreed to borrow from you too. So if you have any topics you want to suggest, leave it in the comments. Join Discord server. We have also lighting challenges, which I forgot to mention. We have it monthly. It's a good way to get promoted. So the winner, we normally post them on social media and stuff, and we elevate you. So you can do that. There's a lot to talk about, and it's definitely more than we thought you guys were interested in. So do leave us. So do leave us your topics. Do leave us your ideas of what you want us to cover another time. While we are reading your comments slowly. Okay, so there's quite a few topics.
It's
Thank
great.
you for watching, and thank you for Jeremy and Chris for attending as usual. They are very busy people, so you should say thank you as well for them to show up. And So
our
that's
first
about
job.
it. Yeah, I mean it's been a while since we've done any of these streams. Yeah, as listen to Le Bibliothèque. Don't forget the challenge of this month, right? The topic for this month
Oh.
is sleepy. Sleepy is the topic for this lighting challenge, and it ends in 4 days. So you have 4 days to do something. If you can do it, let's go. Again, thank you for your support. Do like, do share, recommend people our channel and Discord, and we'll try and keep this community alive as long as I have the age for it. But I am getting older. It's going. My birthday is end of this month. For if
Really?
anyone wants to say happy birthday, my birthday is on Thursday, so it's 8 days from now. So yeah, so don't forget that.
He's promoting
your
his birthday. So why are you promoting your birthday on the stream?
Why not? Because we want to have like a fun, chill, innocent
Yeah,
stream.
yeah,
Obviously.
yeah. My birthday's next year in June. Put it on your calendars, people. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. There we go. I have another meeting I have to go to as well. So thank you for watching. I'll talk a little bit again with Chris and Jeremy in private before I set them free. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. See you soon. Toodles, tada.